My guest today is Jassem Osseiran. Jay is bringing Web3 to the world via PlaysOut, which is an interesting looking, I guess, gaming distribution infrastructure, SDK. There's a lot going on. We'll learn all about this today. But firstly, welcome to the show, Jay.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I'm a big fan of the show and excited to dive into PlaysOut today.
I'm excited too, Jay. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It'd be great if you could please introduce yourself. Love to hear a little bit of your personal and professional backstory. I suppose, tell us what you've been doing in the lead up to rolling out gaming with PlaysOut.
Yeah, awesome. Nothing better than talking about yourself, I guess. So I get, my background is from I'd say a venture building, area. I started out in tech around 2010 with Rocket Internet, which is one of the largest venture builders out there, based in the US, and I was kind of early on in helping early stage tech build, scale, and advance into various different markets. I am Middle Eastern, so I decided to move back to this region and kind of look at something that's a bit more emerging. Funny enough, that was a time where Web3 was really starting to kick off, specifically in the United Arab Emirates, which is where I currently am. I kind of moved over here, did a few things within the media space, specifically within gaming, and then kind of jumped full on in the Web3 area, where I was, what can I say about that? That's massive experience kind of within bears and bulls and trading, and jumped on a few projects, advised a few projects, and eventually kind of jumped more into a investment seat, where I was, essentially investing in and looking at projects, mostly, I'd say from infrastructure perspective. Gaming has always been a big passion of mine. I've been in the gaming sector for about 10 years, in all aspects of things. So looking at it from a publishing standpoint, from a developer standpoint, I've done a few things within esports, so the competitive landscape as well. I used to be a gamer back in the day, so I love that area of things, and you can see how the gaming environment has grown tremendously, and it's all starting to run into each other. Versus where we were, 20 odd years ago. Web3 has been a big part of my life now. I've seen a few cycles. I guess the last bear was kind of looking at the gaming space, because I truly believe that's where the next generation, or the next million adopters, are going to be coming in from. So we looked at a few games, looked at a few development companies, and even from an esports angle, really looked at the hype around the play to earn space, the Axie Infinities, and others, and kind of the guild atmosphere as well. So PlaysOut is I'd say something that has been born out of that experience, and we're super excited to bring it to the world. And I think we're in a very good position, after learning everything we have over the last 10 years within Web3 and within gaming itself, to find the gaps that are leading us to kind of solve some of the problems within Web3 and kind of advancing gaming as well.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Sounds intriguing indeed, Jay. Let's start to learn a little bit more about exactly what PlaysOut is then. So, you've talked a little bit about, gaming Web3, and we'll talk more about that as well. But yeah, please, at a high level, explain a little bit more about, what PlaysOut is, what is the core value proposition, what are the problems you're trying to solve?
Yeah, I'll start with a few things in terms of what the problems are and where the gaps are in the market. So, I guess I have a tremendous experience, and my, co-founders and partners, we've been together for the last 8 years within the crypto cycles, and have great, I'd say, network within the Asian markets, within the Chinese market, specifically within gaming. And a lot of well, look, I was born in the 80s. I wouldn't say, gaming in my day wasn't what it is today. It's nowhere near what the Fortnites and what the Roblox are bringing to the world. But I'd say most of us today are gamers, and casual gaming is still a big thing. So if you look around yourself today, whether you're in a bus stop, in an airplane, you'll see people kind of just playing for fun, or quick fine-tune gaming. And that's something that we haven't seen come into the Web3 space, in a sustainable fashion. So one thing that we've looked at, and I have a massive, tremendous respect for, is the Tencent environment. And you would have seen the news already, but Tencent's infrastructure in terms of WeChat is the best casual gaming infrastructure out there today. Right, there is nothing like it. The experience, the user experience, the interaction of a user kind of jumping in and out of games, it's super high quality, and there's no other kind of super app, if you want to call it, that mirrors that. So with our kind of reputation and our connections within the development side of things, and the CP side of things, which is content side, we're able to have multiple discussions with some of the largest game developers in China that are essentially distributing their games on the WeChat ecosystem. Now, that's a very I'd say it's a very big, WeChat, Tencent mini games, massive, bigger than the App Store, many would say. So it's done a lot of development companies very well. However, they have not been able to really look at monetizing global audiences, which is where I'd say the gap is. And another massive gap that they had, specifically these, the Chinese developers, is that they're unable to touch Web3 ecosystems. So from a problem standpoint, what we're doing is we're allowing some of the existing largest casual game developers in China and Asia to be able to play out of or expand out of the WeChat ecosystem that they're currently sitting in, and be able to now touch global audiences, global traffic, and also understand how to play within a Web3 environment.
Just explain this, because you did mention it, but this was announced last week, and it's kind of a big deal. So we should just explain that properly why we're here, if you like. So you're talking about this partnership that was announced between PlaysOut and Tencent, or Tencent Cloud even. So just explain that a bit, and then keep going, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have our core team is quite embedded within the Tencent ecosystem. We understand it very well. Our CTO is one of the original builders of WeChat mini games ecosystem, so we understand that architecture very well. It's a very seamless and fun environment to play mini games, to play casual games. And what I mean by that is that a user can essentially play a game, get a phone call, come back into the game. It's very rarely interrupted, and you get very high quality tech coming into that. So one of the things that we did was essentially jump into this by understanding that there is a massive gap, which is what I just explained in terms of the CP side, with Tencent, to say, listen, we see something that we can kind of plug in, and we're able to build what PlaysOut is today, which is an SDK, one, and two, I'd say a standalone app on the back of Tencent architecture, and kind of build out what allows these games to then transition over, localize, and start, touching the Web3 space. So obviously Tencent being super close to us and allowing us, that privilege to be the first to use that tech in order to build out what PlaysOut is. It's an extreme honor, and we're super happy to be involved, obviously, on that side of things.
Yeah. So, and explain again a little bit more about how, the idea of, mini games, I suppose, and how you see that transforming the experience from a user perspective of, I suppose, you use the term yourself, like a super app. Yeah. So what are some of the other super apps that we might see in, different parts of the world? People are familiar with that idea, certainly in Asia and China. And how do you see mini games evolving as, all of these things move forward?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Another problem that I'd love to highlight is the problem that, well, it's not a problem, but it's a need that most large traffic holders have, right? So today, and anyone can tell you this, we're moving into a world where we're very low capacity, short form content is taking over everything, and casual gaming is just, it's something that's blowing up. On the traffic side of things, and anyone who has a massive app that has traffic, their biggest KPI or everything that they need to do is essentially maintain the traffic, keep them there, keep their users happy, and monetize that traffic as well. If anything, a good to have is a good user acquisition, but you can't do much if you aren't able to retain the traffic that you already have, right? So you want to retain the traffic, you want to monetize that traffic. And what any super app has today is how you do that is with new and newer content, right? So what PlaysOut is doing is essentially providing a library of different games that are able to come into their ecosystem, continue to attract or keep their users retained on their platform and within their ecosystem, and to monetize them via advertising, which is usually the route that a lot of super apps go to, or via Web3. So I'd love to dive into our first kind of focus partner, which is essentially Telegram, right? Telegram's a no-brainer for us simply because they are an optimal environment for anyone that's Web3, right? They've got a fantastic wallet. The Ton ecosystem has been doing fabulous. I think it's in one of the fastest growing ecosystems out there. And they have everything needed there to allow anyone to kind of build out Web3, architecture or game or experience. So when it comes to Telegram, obviously our conversations have been great and super easy, right? Because for them, it's, listen, you're bringing me games. That's something huge, because when you're bringing me games, I'm then able to keep my traffic in the app and monetize them. And so if I'm also able to transition that traffic into becoming users of their larger ecosystem, such as Stunfy, their swap, their wallet, Ton, the token, the outside ecosystem, then it's a massive win for them from a Web3 side. From our perspective, obviously Telegram is just one of the components that makes PlaysOut successful, but it's integrating into these larger players and not kind of rewriting the script, but allowing them to highlight their features and their tools that will allow these games to then shift over to Web3. And I think that's super important. Now, I know you're about to jump in. One other thing I'd say on the flip side, Andy, is when you look at the Web2 side of it. So we're also looking at the large telcos, for example, who are not Telegram. They don't look like Telegram just yet. They don't have wallet features. They don't have swaps. They don't have anything that will allow them to jump into Web3 just yet. But, they're not stupid. They're obviously looking ahead. And this is something that allows them to kind of get ready for or prep their traffic for an eventual jump into the Web3 space. And I think that's super attractive.
Yeah, well, that's actually what I was going to mention, Jay. It's like because, and you've kind of, yeah, covered that a little bit. It's that distinction between, I suppose, yeah, apps or super apps that are already embracing Web3. And of course, Telegram is, one of the best examples of that. But yeah, there must be lots of other online communities, different apps, different companies, brands, communities that have different needs, and not all of those communities or groups of users are ready for Web3, shall we say. So it sounds like you have a solution that would meet the needs of those kind of different potential customer segments, right?
Well, I'd say, look, data is a massive component of what we do. Right? No one's traffic is the same as anyone else's. So when you have a game, it's a lot different than having thousands of games, right? So from a plays out perspective, it's more like what how can we bring the games that will most likely work for your traffic? And the best way to do that is to understand their data. So if I'm able to understand, listen, this is the traffic that's coming to you, we're much more able to then pick out the games that are going to be, kind of in sync with their audience type, and allow them to monetize via that characteristic. When you look at a Telegram perspective, it's a little bit more difficult because Telegram's decentralized. They don't have much data. They can't give you much data, right? And that's something that's super attractive in being a part of the Telegram ecosystem. But what it means for us is kind of being able to, I guess, transition those initial games onto the Telegram platform and understand the traffic behavior so that we're better able to optimize the next flow of games and how the games come into the ecosystem that fit with the traffic usage or behavior.
Yeah. The gaming market, if you like, is obviously, it's huge. I wouldn't even want to guess at how huge it is, but it's massive, right? You talked to earlier, Jay, about how, there's this kind of worldwide trend towards, I don't know, like, shorter content. There's just, we all have shorter attention spans, obviously.
TikTok's taken over.
TikTok's taken over, and yeah, we're all, tantalized by the different social media platforms that we're on. TikTok, of course, being one of the most addictive. But if that is the trend, what do you see as the kind of, what are the trends in gaming or this mini gaming even, and how do you see those trends evolving in the future?
Listen, I can't really pick on specific trends within gaming. Gaming is so big. I think everyone is a gamer, whether you know it or not, right? Like I always bring this up to maybe the more savvier investor, and I say, listen, are you a gamer? And sometimes they don't even know, and I'm like, listen, are you a part of a loyalty program, or whether you know it or not, you're involved in some sort of game. Sometimes it's a bit more packaged in a corporate environment, but it's not something off the phone.
Even just meeting your 10,000 steps daily, that's a game. Gamification is literally in everything, isn't it?
Is everything. And so from our standpoint is just that, look, there's a lot of money going into heavier, you could say AAA to mid-tier games. And, that's going to be a super success. But within Web3, it will take time for these games to find the right economic models, to find the right formulas to get there. And, looking at it from my experience is that you have different games, and each game that's a bit more heavier, or let's say a AAA game even, that costs a lot of money to build. A lot of people underestimate how difficult it is, how long it takes, and how costly it is to build a game. It's not that easy. It's not like, hey, click clack and you have a game. It's extremely tough, and it takes a lot of testing. It takes a lot of everything. So, props to all of the engineers out there that are in the trenches, because it's a mind-boggling and extremely difficult, process to come up with a game.
Yeah.
Now, within Web3, when you look at these single games, users come in, they eventually find the reward system, they start to monetize, the token, the economy goes up, it goes down, and they get found out. Now, a big part of it is that there's an end to the game, or there's not an end necessarily, but a component where, okay, you can't go any further, right? There's going to be a next release. There's going to be a next chapter. There's going to be a next, I would say in my day, the next CD, right? The next version of it. And that usually takes a lot of time and a lot of money to essentially extend out the game. And so we see a lot of kind of token economies kind of go up and down with these singular, heavy, expensive games to build out. What I believe in and what we're coming in to solve is saying, listen, we still believe that the casual gaming market is massive. I see people playing casual games on the bus and, like I said, on the plane, just, quick and easy games with their son at halftime or lunch or whatever it is. And we're betting on this ecosystem kind of growing just because it's short term. It's less difficult to kind of get in and get out. It's more interactive. It's more social. And we believe that having this portfolio of games and having an ecosystem of games in which act under one environment, which is the PlaysOut environment, or if integrated into other ecosystems like Telegram or others, then that's going to give you a much higher level of success or rate of success, because a user is now not interacting with one game, but is able to kind of keep their reward system or keep their affiliation to a network of games. I'm a lot more compelled to keep my, let's say, my token, my usage, my reward system intact if I'm able to jump in and out of different games and not just kind of be stuck in one. And if I'm bored of it, I'm out, right?
Yeah, makes sense, Jay. All right, well, look, as we start to finish up this part of the podcast, Jay, just, obviously we had the 10 cent news last week, big news. What else is coming up in your, I guess, product pipeline or roadmap? What news can you share? What are you working towards? What can people look for in the future this year? And of course, for people listening that perhaps want to look deeper into the PlaysOut ecosystem, especially developers and so on, just tell people what is the best way for them to do that. What should they do? Where should they go?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Andy. I mean, look, obviously big news with Tencent. This is something that's not really happened before, so we're super excited. I can't really give you too much of the details, and it wouldn't be fair, but just follow us on our channels. Twitter is usually the best place to go. We have an awesome Telegram channel coming up as well, which will give all of you, everyone that's coming in or listening to this is super early in the PlaysOut days. Our SDK is going to be, so you're going to see the first games kind of coming out around the Q4 2024 area region. But for now, you'll see a lot of kind of the work from the product and commercial side, which is integrating into these large traffic ecosystems and some of the partners that are coming into Flow as well. So I'm not going to name drop anyone right now, but keep your eyes out, and Andy, I'm sure you'll give us a mention here and there.
Absolutely. All right. So that website, folks, is simply playsout.com. Link is in the show notes. I think what we do now, Jay, is we finish off the podcast by running you through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. Are you up for it?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's go, Jay. I'm just going to run some questions at you. Just want you to give me kind of quick, snappy, hot take style answers, if you like. Just give me, honest answers, really. Question 1 for you, Jay, is where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Fully wrecked.
I like it. All right. Hey, let's keep it moving. What would you say then, Jay, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
Mm. Say that again.
Just, yeah, what crypto opinion do you have that you believe strongly in, that you think will
By the
come
dip.
true? By the dip. You're in a dip at the moment, aren't we? All
Aren't
right.
we? Good times. Depends how
Yeah.
you look at it.
Yeah. Hey, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So look, Web3 gaming plays out, blockchain. What does it all look like in 10 years' time, Jay?
I would say the biggest Web3 mini game publisher globally.
Nice. I like it. All right. Sci-fi author William Gibson said that the future is already here, Jay, but it's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, what is an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Ready Player One. I'm sure you've watched that. That's a big one, especially if you're a gamer. You'll see where things are. Like I said earlier in this interview, how things are just kind of running into each other and becoming, something crazy and a huge opportunity, I think.
Yeah, very much so. Could not agree more. And it brings us, I suppose, nicely, speaking of Ready Player One, to the final question, Jay, which is, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
I mean, I would say Ready Player One, but I've already said that. So I'd have to go with the old Star Trek, Andy. That's a bit of my childhood right there.
Yeah, are we talking OG Star Trek?
That's
Yep, that's the one.
absolutely.
OG is the best, depending on, your point of view. But yeah, Star Trek, fantastic choice. All right. Hey, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us today on the show, Jay. Again, just to take it out, tell people again where they should go to learn all about PlaysOut and yourself. Like, do you have a Twitter profile, anything like that? Please shout it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I appreciate it, Andy, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Catch us on our handles are It Plays Out, funny enough, and my personal profile is Quasi J. So yeah, feel free to reach out for any opportunities or just a hello. Always open to talk.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jay. All the best, and bye for now.
I appreciate it, and thank you.